Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, the place for bosses and business owners who want to show up consistently, creatively, and most importantly, through their content. Today, I have a little bit of a different video for you. I'm actually going to take you for a sneak peek inside my bullet journal, and I'm going to show you how I use my bullet journal for business. So you'll be seeing things like how I use it to plan my monthly things, how I use it for my week, and how I use it for my days, and also the things that I'm tracking, the things that I'm trying and trialing to try and get the most productivity and efficiency out of my days and weeks and months, and the things that I'm trying in order to make sure I'm not forgetting things and keeping track of all my leads and that sort of thing. So come with me now, we're gonna have a look inside my bullet journal and I'm gonna walk you through it, and I really hope that you love this video. All right, so what I wanna do is show you how I was using the bullet journal before we went into isolation and how I'm using it now, because it's drastically changed for me. Now, something that you should know is that I, at any given time, have a bullet journal, I have Google Calendar, I have iCal, I have to-do lists going. It's just the way I work, because I am always on the computer, and also when I can, I like to shut down the computer, but I also like to stay productive. I prefer pen and paper over digital, but I use digital calendars to keep me on point, to ensure that I can sort of see the timer moving down through the day and I can keep on track as best as possible. So I do use a myriad of things. We are focusing on the bullet journal today. So let's get stuck into it. So normally the first thing I do at the end of the previous month, or as it is now, the start of the next month, I create the calendar for the next month. So what we're going to do is draw up the May calendar so that you can see what I usually do, and then I'll also be showing you what I do after that. So let's get stuck into it. Okay, now the main calendar's done, something I do down in this white space is just have a little to-do note section. So things that I need to remember to do in that month that don't really have a place on the calendar. I really just leave the calendar for major events, major things that are happening, things I need to remember, appointments. I don't put everything in this. This is really just a visual reminder of things coming up in the month that I need to work around. And the other thing that I like to do is pop a little column here for leads, and that just helps me track people. It helps me follow up. When I get to the following month, I can then refer back to this month and go, right, who out of this leads list do I need to follow up? Who do I need to email? Who do I need to call? And it just really keeps me accountable to the sales in my business. So in this column, I'm just going to give you an example of what I might write. So I'm just going to pop in here that I need to connect Stripe to my Xero account, because Xero told me to do that yesterday, and it's not urgent, but it needs to be done ASAP. So I'll just pop it there just as a reminder. This is really just things that need to be done in that month that sort of don't really fit anywhere. Okay, so this is typically how I plan my month. There's not a lot going on at the moment because we can't leave. I don't have meetings to go to. Of course, I have calls, but I'm typically booking them a week out. So I do have a call tomorrow. However, I've just got an email from that person to say they want to postpone it to 2 weeks later. So normally I put calls in there, I'd put meetings in here, I'd put any appointments in here that were necessary, whether they're doctor's appointments or filming appointments. Anything basically where it's a non-negotiable of my time will go in here. And then, as I said, leads here. And now I'm going to show you typically how I would also draw up my week. Okay, so let's be real, I stuffed this up from the start. Normally there's 6 spaces in between, but there's 4 here, there's 5 here, and there's 7 here. So I screwed that up, but it's fine because we're probably not going to use this anyway. This is just more for showing you how I would reel something up. So then I would put the date up here of the week. And then is the fun part, I get to color it in, and I typically color code my month so that visually when I look back, if I see a big pink block, things are highlighted in pink, things are written in pink, I'm like, okay, that's May. And then, you know, I might do the next month in purple and then the next one in blue and green and so forth. It's just a quick visual reminder. And then this section here is just a note section, so it can pertain to the day, or, you know, other times I don't actually rule the line straight through, so it's just one big column and it becomes one big column of notes for that particular week. So it becomes a really easy reference point when I need to see what I've done, who I've called, what needs to go into another day that week. Let's say I put some tasks in Monday and I don't get them done, but maybe I can't do them Tuesday because I'm going out to a meeting. They just go in the notes column and I know that I need to put them somewhere else in the week, or at least just get them done. So this, I used to do this a little bit differently. I used to make my days a lot more comprehensive, but I'm doing a lot of digital calendar blocking at the moment, which means the minutiae of my day typically goes in there. So what I like to put in here is the big things that need to be done that day, that are just non-negotiable. If I don't get them done, I'll be disappointed in myself. Obviously, there's client stuff that I need to do every single day that goes into my calendar. That's non-negotiable. But what I'm talking about in the bullet journal is things that move my business forward. They're not just the day-to-day things that get done because I'm getting paid necessarily. They're things, they're marketing efforts, they're sales efforts, they're making calls, they're finishing a landing page. Those types of things typically go in my day-to-day here. Okay, so now we're going to move on to what I'm doing in my bullet journal now since isolation. Now, let me make this clear. The only difference between what I'm doing now and what I was doing before is that now I'm really not doing these. So everything I show you now is stuff I was doing before as well. I've just gotten rid of these because they just don't mean as much to me right now because I'm not leaving the home. They just feel a little bit more like a waste of time. I'll go back to them once things go back to normal. But how I use my bullet journal normally now, I'm going to just take you through some other pages where this has occurred before. So one of the things I'm doing in my bullet journal now is project planning. So getting an idea out of my head, getting it onto paper, and just getting the main points out. And let me show you what I've done for this month so far. So this particular month, I decided to plan by the month, not by the specific project. I mean, I have gone into projects on the following pages, but this is just a new way that I've actually tried this month. So I've thought about May and what I actually want to achieve while we're all still in lockdown, the things that are on my heart to do that have been bubbling over. So I've popped them all here. I've just got this here because it's a little bit of a secret project. So you can see here I've got a YouTube project I want to complete, I've got offers that I want to create, and I've got a Facebook group project that I want to complete, as well as a health project that I want to complete as well. I just want to make sure that I'm doing a few things. The idea is that it's not to be overwhelming, it's just to remind me of the things that I want to achieve, and having it in a visual way like this just helps me not get overwhelmed. It helps me to just see it at a glance and go, oh, that's right, I'm working on this, I'm working on this, I'm working on this. And then the breakdown happens in the following pages. Okay, I've just taken you to another page in my bullet journal that shows you how I use it. So one of the ways that I love using it is for calls. Whenever someone calls me, I write down who is calling, where they're from. Even if we're just chatting for 2 minutes, I like to write it down. I like to document it. I like to take notes, because if it ever needs to come back to a time where I need to refer to it, it's there. And really, anybody who owns a business knows that remembering the minutiae of a call is not always the easiest thing. So to write down any details, any things that need to be done, any things that need to be actioned is really good. So for example, this call, I took all of these notes, and then you'll see here that I've gone back and said that I sent an email on the 1st to the 4th. So that just allows me to know that I followed this up, that I did the work, and that if I went into my email, there should be an email to this particular company on that date with the follow-up of this call. So that's a way that I love using my bullet journal, and because it's organized into months, it's really easy to find calls. It's really easy to follow up on things that have happened in that month. Anybody who knows anything about bullet journaling will know that you're supposed to have in the front an index. And here you're supposed to put the page numbers with the thing that happened on that particular page. Now, I don't use this very well. And the reason I don't use this is because I've found that I don't have to. So when I first got a bullet journal, I loved the idea of being able to reference anything that I put in the bullet journal. I'd be able to find anything I ever wrote. I really loved that idea because I was dropping the ball in places, and I just needed something that had continuity to it, which is why I fell in love with the bullet journaling system. However, over the past couple of years of using it, I've found that I don't actually really need this as much as I just need the page of notes. I just need everything in the one place. Now, major things I reference in that index page, but things like calls, I just make sure that I'm very detailed in my notes. I make sure that I action things, that I follow things up, and it's always here as a reference point. So another way that I use my bullet journal is essentially a little bit like a regular journal. So this isn't the world's best example, but this is just me taking idea from concept through to fruition. So I simply journal it out. It's not about being perfect. I'm not planning anything super specific here, but I am taking an idea that I had. I literally had this idea in my head one night when I couldn't sleep, this visual, because I'm such a visual person. And so I ended up getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning because I couldn't sleep, and I just journaled it out till it made sense. So that's another way that I use my bullet journal for business. I like to journal through ideas and not be judgmental. So it could be simply like a written journal. It could be like, I'm feeling this way, I'm thinking this way, maybe I need to change my mindset on something, maybe I just need to journal or mind map words because I'm trying to title something. That all goes in here as well, and I love it because once it's actioned, I can just take my pen and cross it off. And that's something that I actually do. If you go back through my bullet journal, there's pages with just a giant cross through it, because then I know if I go back to it that it's something that I've taken care of, I've actioned. It's not an unfinished idea. I've actioned that idea at some point. So when I go ahead and make this, which I'm doing this week, I will come back and put a line through it so that it's still readable, but that I know that I've gone ahead and actually created this item. And the final way that I want to show you that I use my bullet journal is I like to create mini checklists like this. So this really helps me when I have a project that feels a little bit overwhelming, has multiple steps, or I just have a bunch of stuff that I've got to get through and I'm not having the world's best day. So I like to make checklists when I want to think a lot less. Again, like I said, I typically follow my calendar and I work through it that way, but sometimes things just have a few more steps, and I like to create checklists like this so that I can just go through and color them in and I know that they're done. And then again, once they're done, I can cross them off, and all of this got done. I just stopped using the checklist that day at some point. Sometimes it's just to help me get started, other times it's to help me get through that tough bit in the middle, and other times it's to really check it all off and feel really good at the end of the day. But I love creating mini checklists. It just helps my brain. It helps me be more productive and efficient. Here's another little example of a checklist that I made here, and I've gone through and crossed off the things that I've done, and I've actually calendar blocked the rest of this too, because a lot of this is actually very big jobs that required more of a breakdown, which I love doing into my Google Calendar. So if you guys would like to see me do a video on how I use my calendar in Google to block out my time, let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to make that video for you if that's something that will help you be more organized. One other thing that I've loved doing in my bullet journal, because I am such a pen and paper girl, is I like to write SOPs down in here. So procedural things. I don't like going straight to digital. It sort of makes me feel very boxed in and claustrophobic. So I've been writing down SOPs in my bullet journal and then putting it into Asana to have as a templated item, so that when we bring on employees, they're able to follow a process, but also when we're doing projects, we're able to follow the process for the project as well. And then other things that I like to use my bullet journal for is to write ideas lists. Now these lists, for example, this YouTube ideas list, this will be one of the things that I go and reference back in the index, because I want to know where my YouTube ideas are. I want to know where my content ideas are. And it matters to me to be able to reference these, because this is the stuff that I'm doing for you guys every single week. So I actually need a place to reference back. Now I've done most of these videos, so it's fine for you to see. But I also have a LinkedIn video list here as well, where I actually created a lot of those videos and put them out on LinkedIn. But that's also a really great way to use the bullet journal. And again, I'd highly recommend, if you're doing things like this, to reference them back in this early index, so that you can actually go back and find them later on. And you never know when you're actually going to get through your bullet journal. It's not necessarily going to last you a year, especially if you use it the way I do and put everything in it. You put your calls in it, you put your lists in it, you put your thoughts, your ideas, you craft offers in it. Everything that you do, if it's going in here, this isn't going to last a year. We're only just coming up to halfway through the year, and I'm probably halfway through this bullet journal now, and I'll be finished this before the end of the year, I can promise you that. So if I have 2 bullet journals in 1 year, for example, I need to be able to go back into this one and go, okay, I need to find that list of content ideas that I wrote out earlier in the year, and be able to reference that. But otherwise, that is me, that's my bullet journal, that's how I'm using it for business, and I really hope that you got something out of that.
And remember guys, if you want me to do a calendar blocking video, let me know in the comments below. And if you really enjoyed this bullet journal planning video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.